Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, Watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh. Bahashima Mashiach Malaki Bashai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. It's like shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying. They're fasting. They're studying. They're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters that are out there zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live. Shalom Williams, Batya Israel, Sweet Styles, Daria Shalom, Elder Yashab Rael, Servant 144K. We got Next Israel, Adara Yasha'Allah, Anthony Underwood, Octa Rectitude, and everybody else tuning in. And again, that will tune in, Lord willing. Uproars of the people, LA riots, martial law, signs of the end. And most High willing, everybody's watching. We're living in exciting times, man. These are exciting times that Yahweh Bashmiel Shai has unfolding in Esau's month of pride, and his days of sodomy, and his days of outright pride and folly, and his days of freakism and lewdness, concupiscence and lust, weird, creeped out fornication, adultery, and strange reveling. Yahweh Bashmiel Shai sent the spirit in the midst of Babylon the Great, fulfilling Bible prophecy of tumults, riots, troubles, seditions, invading one another. What you're watching in LA, for those who may not be aware of the ICE riots, that is Bible prophecy in America, man. You've had riots that have been going on in Europe in time past. You've had riots that was going on in England a few years ago, France, Germany. And we said through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemiel Shai, these riots eventually are going to come to America, man. And you're watching them. And it's not just America, right? It's like it's not just LA. You have these riots that are spreading to San Francisco, Nevada, Pennsylvania, New York. So this is a disease that Yahweh Shai is using to infect Babylon the Great and push these prophecies, man. And for those that may not be aware of what's going on, you have these uproars of the people, and that is biblical prophecy, man. Right? That is biblical prophecy. Let's pull this up through the spirit, right? You have, and this is as of late, 700 U.S. Marines activated to help in LA, right? They're going to activate up to 700 Marines, not 700 of the National Guard, not 700 Minutemen, right? Not 700 volunteer, guys from the neighborhood or the neighborhood watch or your local volunteer fire department. These are active U.S. Marines, 700 of them, right? U.S. Northern Command has activated the Marine Infantry Battalion that was placed in an alert status over the weekend. Approximately 700 Marines with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division will seamlessly integrate with the Title 10 forces under Task 51, who are protecting federal personnel and federal property in the greater LA area, man. Right. And again, you have these riots going on, right? Again, let's pull this up for brothers that may not know what's actually going on in LA, man. Right. You have massive riots that are going on currently as we speak. You have people getting stoned. They're throwing cinder blocks. And people are getting stabbed out there, detained, arrested. And again, more importantly, this is biblical prophecy. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. And let's read verse number 1, right? For those who may not know, you have to understand that what you see transpiring on the earth is found in the Bible, right? When people speak of signs of the end, even people that talk of the weather patterns changing, people speak of World War III, that's found in the Bible, right? With Ukraine and Russia, that's in the Bible. India and Pakistan going to war, that's in the Bible. right? War in the Middle East is in the Bible. Riots and tumults, civil unrest, and societal breakdowns are prophesied in the Bible. This is Second Ezra, chapter 9, and verse number 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right? So the Most High commanded us to measure thou the time diligently in itself. So measuring the time, meaning there's a timeline of prophecies that the Most High has set up from the foundation of the world. Let me get that in Isaiah, right? Chapter 46 and 10. The Lord said he declared the end from the beginning, right? So when you're measuring the times, you're measuring the prophecies that run in order based off of what you see transpiring on the earth, right? This is Isaiah chapter 46 and 10, declaring the end from the beginning. So these are times, right? The beginning of time, the end of time. You have to measure and see how close you are to the end of time. We know we're not in the days of Genesis. We don't have to measure that. Okay, how close are we to the days of Judges? And those things happened already. Right now we're pushing towards the end. The beginning and the end are two factors that dictate time. But the Lord declared these times. He declared the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, I will do all my pleasure. So the Most High deals with ancient times. Ancient times really start before the creation of heaven and earth, right? The ancient times goes back to the days before Genesis 1 and 1. That's when the Most High had his counsel. The Most High didn't determine what he was going to do day one of creation. All things were very methodical, well planned, and very strategic through the divine counsel and foreknowledge of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, the creator of heaven and earth, man. Right? So the Most High has declared the times that you currently dwell in from the ancient times. Right? Let's go to the book of let's go back to that, right? We'll get straight to the point. So when you're measuring the time, you're measuring the different succession or chronology of prophecies based off of what you see on the earth. Because every prophecy that you see on the earth can be found in the Bible, right? Key example, you have a prophecy of Jacob's trouble, pursuant to the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and 1 on down, Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 6 on down, Revelation 3 and 10, etc. That prophecy is going to happen at a set time. But we're watching to see how soon we are to that prophecy based off of what we see unfolding in the earth, right? Such as seditions, such as slander towards the ministry, such as unlawful laws that are put out to deter the word of God from coming out, the banning of YouTube channels, right? Arresting of men of the Lord on the highways and byways, detaining the men of Yahweh Bashmiel Shah. When these things begin to unfold, we know that Jacob's trouble is right at the door. So you're commanded to pay attention to what prophecies are unfolding on earth. That's why it says what? And when thou seest part of the signs pass, because there are signs that the Most High gave you. Right? Let's go to Luke chapter 12 real quick. There are signs that the Most High gave you. Everybody's asking for the Most High to show you a sign. Well, the signs are given, man. Right? This is Luke chapter 12 and 54. And he said also to the people, when ye see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye say, there cometh a shower, and so it is. Right? Any man can look at a thunderstorm or thunder clouds and expect rain. Any man can see the sky get dark. They can see the temperature drop, and you can see those dark clouds cover the sky. You might hear thunder. 10 times out of 10 is about the rain, right? And you prepare yourself for the rain. You get your umbrella, and you might cancel outdoor plans, and you make moves, man. You know? Verse number 55. The point is, you prepare for the sign that the Most High shows you. And when ye see the south wind blow, ye say there will be heat, and it cometh to pass. Right? You can expect a heat wave, man. And when you approach what they call the dog days of summer, right? You make sure your AC works. You make sure that you have your air in your car works, right? You change your wardrobe up. You box up your winter clothes or whatever you get into, man, and you prepare for the heat that the Most High is going to bring on the earth. You expect the heat, you see it coming, and you prepare. Here's what the Most High said also. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern this time? So part of measuring the times is discerning the times, understanding how close you are to that storm, how close you are to that heat wave, and also preparing yourself, right? And also preparing yourself. So going back to this, the Lord said in 2nd Esdras 9:1, reading on, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So, and the Lord is visiting the world. See, the Lord isn't going to visit the world how your Christianity doctrine teaches. He's not going to visit the world how your grandmother told you or how your pastor told you. As he comes down and holds everybody's hands and little children sit on his lap and he hands out flowers and daffodils and cupcakes and everybody, is at one. That's not prophecy, man. When the Most High visits the world, he's going to visit the world through judgment, right? Let me get this in the book of Isaiah real quick, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 26. That's how the Most High is going to visit the world, right? Isaiah chapter 26 and verse number 9. With my soul have I desired thee in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. For when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. Well, so the Most High is going to visit the world and the earth by his judgments. What is judgment? The judgment is the decision for the Most High to punish the wicked for their transgressions. And you have multiple judgments in the Bible. Rather you get stoned, you get hung on a tree, you get burned, right? All of these are judgments that the Most High has. So these riots that the Most High has put on the earth, it is actually a judgment. The people of the earth think that it's for their benefit. They think that they're the people that are rioting right now, and you Israelites, you should have no part in that, right? You should have no part in grabbing a Mexican flag and standing on top of a SWAT damn unit and waving a flag, man. This is judgment. And these people who are rioting, they may have what you call a good heart or so-called good intentions, and they may go home and feel good at night that they're standing up for justice and standing up for the children of Issachar and things. Hey, but look, man, that's judgment. They're both parties of judgment. Those who are protesting, they're set up by the Most High for judgment. And those who are being protested against this Babylonian system, they're also set up for judgment. And that's how the Most High visits the earth. Through riots, through tumults, through fights, through wars. So it reads, for when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness, man. And that starts with the men and women and children of Yahweh Shemiel Shai. But eventually that's going to trickle over to the kingdom. Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 6 about the Most High visiting the world, right? And people think it's a light matter. Oh, they're just rioting. It's nothing big. It'll go down. Well, first of all, the fact that it's happening is a big deal. Rather it quells down tomorrow or rather it escalates, the fact that it's actually happening is enough for us to understand that these are biblical times that we're living in, right? And I'm going to go back to 2nd Esdras 9 and prove that. But first, I want to get this other precept about the Most High visiting the world, right? 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse number 17. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened. And behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters, just like Revelation, the 1st chapter, Daniel, the 10th chapter, right? Verse number 18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and visit them that dwell upon the earth. And that's through his judgments. That's why you have these wildfires. That's why you have a looming famine. That's where you have wars and nations stockpiling missiles. That's where you have trade wars going on, economic collapses brewing, race wars and tensions happening from man to man, city to city, and realm against realm. That's the Most High visiting the earth. Didn't the Most High visit Egypt? How did the Most High visit Egypt? With 10 mighty, wonderful plagues. ultimately killing the death of the death of the firstborn, and killing the firstborn of man and beast in Egypt. Did the Most High visit the Assyrian army when Rabshakeh came and blasphemed in the days of Hezekiah? Then the Lord sent a death angel and killed 185,000 Assyrians, man. The Lord visits these nations time in and time out. Right? Now it's going to specify what this visitation is about. Verse number 19. And will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. And these are the days of inquisition. Inquisition meaning a search, to inquire, an investigation. Why did you do this to the people? Right? Why did you commit this sin? Right? Why did you transgress my law? How did you hurt the children of God? Why did you thwart the affliction? How come you murdered this man? And then the Lord make inquisition on Cain and said, where is Abel thy brother? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. And that was inquisition. And the inquisition starts on behalf of those who were slain by the word of God. That's Revelation, the 6th chapter, 9 on down. I heard the voice of them. It's like, and I saw the souls of them that were slain, man, for the word of God. And he said, O Lord, how long, O holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood of them that is shed on the earth? And immediately after, in Genesis, the 4th chapter, even though that's talking about Jacob's trouble, but in the same spirit, the Lord made inquisition on Cain. And now the Lord is making inquisition on the wicked for hurting unjustly with their unrighteousness, with their police department, with their ICE task force, man. Right? With their damn SWAT team, police department, military, Marine Corps. That's part of the visitation, the inquisition, the inquiry of the Most High. And when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, right? And our affliction, meaning our captivity, is approaching the last minutes. Verse number 20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the books open during the days of John. Remember, in John, the 5th chapter, it's like in Revelation, the 5th chapter, Yahweh took the books, right? Or the book that was sealed with 7 seals. And the understanding of the scriptures and the prophecies were opened. There was no man found worthy to open that book in heaven or in earth or under the earth. And John, he wept much because of that. But now the books are being opened. The understanding is being given to us by Yahweh Ba'ashmi Yahushua through supping with us. And we're seeing the prophecies. We're seeing the judgment to the Most High. We're seeing the world collapse. We're seeing the world crumble. And this world is beginning to vanish away. And everything's deteriorating. The bridges are falling apart. The roads aren't going to get fixed. Food is getting worse. People's minds are getting worse, man. Generations are becoming more decadent, right? There's a spirit of debauchery and revelry in the earth, evil and wickedness. And you're going to see these signs together. And that's why we read in 2nd Ezra 9 that the Most High is going to visit them, right? And now we know what that means, through his judgments and through inquisition, right? That's how the Most High visits. Let's go back to this. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and 2. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, right? Therefore, let's see how he's going to visit with the judgments. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So you're going to have that epiphany, that your mind is going to damn turn on like a light bulb and say, oh, the Most High, he did speak of earthquakes. He did speak of wars. He did speak of uproars of the people in the world. That is a major prophecy. You're witnessing in Los Angeles as we speak, and it's spreading, man. Salakia, it's spreading like a cancer. And it's really a demon. See, on a spiritual level, the Most High, what he's doing as he's infested the society. Shalom, King.
Shalom, King.
Really, what the Most High is doing is he's infested America with an actual demon and causing the society to be divided against one another, right? And I want to get this to go into this uproars of the people. We got a lot of articles we want to get into. Got a lot of clips we want to show. We got a lot we want to get into, right? But we have to show you first and foremost that this is all the divine judgment of the Most High God, right? I want to go to the book of Judges real quick, chapter 9, right? Regarding the men of Shechem and Abimelech, right? Now, this is Judges chapter 9 and verse number 22. When Abimelech had reigned 3 years over Israel. Now, Abimelech, he slew 70 men, right? He slew the sons of Gideon. He killed all these men. He was going off, and he reigned 3 years. He had vain and light men that followed him, and he came into power. But he came into power through wickedness and through murder and through bloodshed. That's the same spirit that America's in. They killed 70 sons of Israel, right? It may not have been of Gideon or Jeroboam, rather, but they killed 70 sons of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child, right? But he was in power. When Abimelech had reigned 3 years over Israel, then the Most High sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech. Now, when you read this chapter, these guys are supposed to be allies, man. They were of one accord. But now the Most High divided them. He didn't do it day one. And the Most High, he's long-suffering. But he will in no wise let thee go. You could be 3 years into your wickedness, then the Most High judge you. The Most High don't have to judge you day one. Remember, it tells you in Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and 11 on down, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know it should be well with them which fear God, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked. Greatly paraphrasing. So the Most High, he doesn't have to give you a sentence speedily. He could give you a sentence of judgment 3 years from now. You can have the slave trade peak off in 1619, and the Most High can judge you with uproars of the people in the year 2025, right? So that's how the Most High get down. Verse number 24. Why did he do this? That the cruelty done to the 70 sons of Jeroboam might come, and their blood be laid upon Abimelech their brother, which slew them, and upon the men of Shechem, which aided him in the killing of his brethren. So this man rose into power through murder, and he had help through another a group of men who helped aid him in killing the Israelites, right? Or these Israelites. This is the same thing, man. That's why there's judgments in America. There's judgments in China. There's judgments in Europe. There's judgments all over the world because they have aided these wicked kings in the killing of our brethren. The Marine Corps aided the police department. The police department aided these correctional officers, man. Right? Your sheriffs. All of these guys are aiding and helping one another in the killing of our brethren, the deportation of our brethren, the murder of our brethren. But the Most High sent this evil spirit that they can fight and clash, and that's what's going on in America. Right? You have the military and you have the citizens. They're clashing and fighting. Right? But you got it, King.
Shalom, Israel. Yeah, it's a beautiful time, like the brother went into in Second Esdras, the 9th chapter, where the Most High is starting to visit the earth. We're starting to see the uprising and the tumults and the seditions and nation against nation, and it's a beautiful time that we're living in. Right? Esau's turmoil just equals Israel's restoration and salvation. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. We can start at verse number 4. Right? Or we can start at verse number 3. Right? It's a beautiful time that we're in. This is the end of the world. And the Most High has chosen us to be able to see it with our own eyes. and to understand prophecy and to understand the things that are going to happen, right? So none of these things should dismay you. We're just seeing the lawless enemy that the Most High spoke of in the Song of the Three Holy Children, right? These are the lawless enemies who can come and make unrighteous decrees, separate families, detain you for who knows how long, right? I believe it was about 4 or 5 years ago during the first Trump administration. They were detaining all those young children at the border. Where are those children at now?
Right.
What happened to those children? Right? They don't tell you what happens because they just happen to go missing. And these big corporations, they get behind, and it's a huge conspiracy, so they say, of selling of children, and it happens at the borders. Right? So we're just seeing Esau showing his true horns. Right? So this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Right? Everybody wants to know what's the signs of the end of the world. How are we going to know that you're coming back and the kingdom of Israel is being restored? Right? And Yahushua didn't tell it to everybody. He only told it to the disciples. Right? Now it's open to everybody, but a lot of our people don't have eyes to see it, ears to hear. Right? It's only for the elect to break down into Israel who is sincere. That's how deep this is, right? Because if you tell somebody that there's going to be false Christ, they're not going to believe it because they look at white Jesus and that's their Christ, right? So these things are only for the elect to understand. Like the Lord say, blessed is he that readeth and hears these words of prophecy. Because as you hear these words of prophecy, you get to prepare yourself for the move, right? The move that's coming. When you got to get ready to leave because your lease is up. You don't wait till the very last day to start packing. You don't wait till the very last day to get the U-Haul or the truck and start moving everything out at the very last second. It's a preparation, right? So this is a preparation to the move that's coming, right? So verse number 4, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Right? And we see that happening now, man. I can't. What's that brother's name who be going to all the camps?
Yaju.
Yaju. Right? We got Yaju. Everybody says they're the Christ. Right? Everybody says they're the Christ, and they struggling with more sins than a little bit. Right? And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right? So these things shouldn't trouble you. It shouldn't shake your spirit when you see talks of nuclear arms races, right? People talking about they're going to bomb and destroy this city or invade and whatever in this town. It shouldn't shake you. All these things must happen, right? That's how you get order. Order has to come through chaos and destruction. That's when the king of righteousness is going to come back and set things in its proper place. Verse number 7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, right? And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So we're seeing nation against nation, right? The elder versus the younger. Even within Babylon society, you got the coon Edomites who want to help the Israelites, and then you got the wicked Edomites who are talking about kill them. It's a clash, right? Satan can't cast out Satan, right? This whole infrastructure is crumbling before our eyes. And it's beautiful in the sight of the Lord. It should be beautiful in the sight of those who trust in the Lord, right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 17. And I think I want to start at verse number 12, I believe. Because it's all prophesied. It's all prophesied that is going to happen. And it's not going to be anything that Esau can do, right, to stop all the destruction that's coming. It's not going to be anything Esau can do that can turn away the wrath of the Lord, right? This is Isaiah chapter 17 and verse number 12. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. So the Lord is saying, woe to these people, man. It's no coincidence that all these huge riots always happen in major cities, right? It's no coincidence. It's always happening in California, right? Happens in New York, right? I believe it happened in New York a couple years ago, right? They had the whole NYPD force out there working overtime on top of overtime on top of overtime, right? So the Lord said, woe to these multitudes, right? Yeah, it may be fearful in the sight of those who don't trust in the Lord, but for us, we have the angels around us. We understand that the angels encamp around those that fear him. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but Yahweh shall rebuke them. Right? And you're seeing the Lord stir up the spirits of the people. Right? He's putting that spirit on Israel and the other nations to stand up against the oppression. Stand up against the tyranny, which is Babylon the Great. Stand up against the lies and falsehoods that are being pushed. Right? How do you think America's going to stand and so-called Donald Trump makes up words? Right? I can't remember the word he made up. It was he just says anything.
Right.
Right? You can see that the nation of America is falling little by little by little by little. And this is going to be a great collapse, right? A bridge doesn't just fall like that. It takes time for the infrastructure to crumble. And they shall flee far off and shall be chased as a chaff of the mountains before the wind and like rolling thing before the whirlwind. And behold, at eventide trouble, and before the morning he is not. This is the portion that spoil us and a lot of them that rob us, right? This is what's happening to those who trouble Israel. All the things that they thought to do to us is turning back and smacking them back in the face, right? Now they sending out the Marines, right? Now, instead of the Marines going over there fighting against Ishmael or whichever nation, now the Marines are back on the home front, making it weak out there when they're supposed to be, I guess, building up for the day of Armageddon, right? For the fight in the Valley of Decisions, man. So the Most High is playing chess while Esau is playing damn marbles, right? But you got it, King.
That's right. And I want to get this too. Let me get Baruch real quick, chapter 4. Right. And that's why you have this going on from city to city, man. Right? It's city to city, and this is just the beginning. Right? The Most High has many, many wonderful works that man has not even seen yet, man. Right? That man's like I want Baruch, man has not even borne witness of. Right? Let's go to Baruch chapter 4, and I want to read verse number 31. Right? Baruch chapter 4, I'm gonna actually start at 30. It reads, take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. And it's comforting to see a nation that was so unified in enslaving us, so unified in breaking us down, so unified and stripping us of our identity and our nationality, even these nations that you read about in Psalms 83 and Psalms 2. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's comforting to see these nations divided, man. These are the days of the 10 toes. Remember, Daniel prophesied of a kingdom that would be partly strong and partly broken, or partly strong and partly weak, that in them would be the strength of iron, huh? And they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another. And they're not cleaving one to another. Everybody's divided. Everybody has their own political agenda, their own mindset, their own beliefs, man. Nobody believes in the American dream. You got right wing, you got left wing, you got pro-life, you got pro-choice, you got Black Lives Matter, you got this crew, you got this gang, all these factions, political organizations, ideologies, it just leads to massive division. Who would have thought, hey, when these so-called founding fathers, George Washington, the village destroyer, Thomas the enslaver, Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, all these men, they had all these Edomites on one accord, man. Now you got Edomites, like Amos said, fighting against other Edomites. But back in time past, there was a one accord to take down the Aztecs, to take down Issachar, to take down Zebulon, to take down Gad. There was no pushback. There was no. But now they're all divided. And this is comforting to see your enemy divided, man. That's like if two Edomites got into a fight in front of me, man. I'm not breaking that up. If I'm out, doing things and I see them arguing on the road, hey, that's comforting, man. Watching them videos when them Edomites pull stuff out the trunk and they fight, that's comforting. Watching them divide as a kingdom, that's comforting. Verse number 31. Miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoice at thy fall. So if you even grinned at our fall, if you thought about smiling, the Most High got judgment for you. If you laughed, if you said aha, if you clapped your hands, you thought about smiling, you grinned, you chuckled, you hee-heed, whatever you did, if you rejoiced at the fall of any situation of an Israelite as a kingdom, the Most High said you got misery coming. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. And LA, New York, these are cities that the Most High said they're going to be miserable. These cities that once were hotspots of white life and damn, what's in LA? Is that Beverly Hills, man? That's LA, right? LA County, Beverly Hills. You got all these top Edomites that live out there. I believe it's at Orange County, or that may be Florida, but you got all these top Edomite neighborhoods that live in LA, man. Hey, during the 50s, during the 60s, that was Esau's heyday, man. Now the Most High said, miserable are these cities. Who would have thought LA, aka the city of angels, man, it's now been infested by demons of strife, revelry, and madness. So miserable are the cities which thy children serve, man. Right? And Gad, Issachar, they were slaves and captives and mutilated and tortured in that land. That land once belonged to the children of Israel, the land of Arsareth, man. But we became servants in that land. And the Lord said, miserable is she that received thy sons. And that's why you have this. Where is this at? Hold on, let me pull this up. You have this going on in LA, man. Right? You have this going on in LA. Police and National Guard on standby after days and riots. And this is beyond the National Guard, like we brought out. Now they're sending out up to 700 troops, right? That is from these whistleblowers, right? And it's confirmed. It says up to 700 Marines activated to help in LA, man, right? So these things, like Amos said, they're not going out in the Persian Gulf. They're in your local neighborhood. They're in a city near you, right? They're burning buildings down, right? They're here to wreak havoc and restore order. And I want to show this too, just for brothers that may not know what's going on. Some brothers you don't know, right? So you have a visual timeline that shows how the LA ICE protest unfolded. For those who may not know, ICE is the government agency that's sent to detain people whose visa has expired, illegal immigrants, people that are unwanted in the country, gather them up, detain them, deport them. Hey, some of these guys, man, like brother said, what happens to them? Once you're in their hands, all traceability is gone. They could ship you to damn Persia somewhere. They can make you a sex slave, man. They could drug you out and whore your daughters out. Give them to these rich elites that work in the Pentagon. Right? So here's a visual timeline of what happened. Right? Let me go through this. I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but Friday, June 6th, things started kind of kicking off. If you want to read this whole thing on your own, you can. So June 6th, it says immigration raids in LA on Friday sparked protests at several locations where federal agents were making arrests. In the fashion district near downtown LA, video showed a crowd gathering outside a clothing warehouse targeted in the raids. Issachar, Jake, they be all in them warehouses. And protesters clashing with law enforcement as they attempted to block a white law enforcement van. So it was going off Friday. You see the people kind of losing their mind, rioting, right? And then you have around 6:30, right? You have more events going on around that day. Then Saturday, you have more going on, right? It says Saturday morning around 9:45, federal law enforcement officers were outside of Home Depot, right? Fueling rumors of an imminent raid, right? So you had this stuff going on Saturday afternoon. People started protesting and going out Compton and rioting. All the way up to Saturday night, they started burning things down and started intensifying. The Most High added, he has the fan in his hand, so he added that fire to this thing, right? And then Sunday, all hell started breaking loose. They started throwing bricks and stones and more. And now Monday, you got the 700 Marines that are on their way out there as we speak, right? But you got it, King. I just want to show this so brothers can understand the background about what actually happened and what's going on.
And I saw a video on Twitter, or formerly Twitter X now. They were it was a brother who was on the phone. He's a teacher. He was crying. He said that they raided the elementary school's graduation, and they were taking people up, and they had to console the children because they didn't know where they were going to go, because that was their means of transportation. That's who looks after them. You know, it was grandfathers, aunts, and uncles came and swept in at a children's graduation. Right? This is that burning, kindling fire that the Most High put over it, so we can see who our enemies are. Right? Not like these delusional Christians who think God loves everybody. Everybody can be saved, and X, Y, and Z. The Lord is putting it in your face who your enemies are. He's showing you without a doubt. Right? Let's go to Psalms chapter 83, and we can start at verse number 9. Right? So if there's any doubt in your mind who's the chief enemy to the house of God, just check the news. Just turn on your local news outlet and see. Right? And then go to CNN and see more enemies, man. Right? It should be no question in anybody's mind who is the enemies of God, right? So this is after the beginning of Psalms 83, where it tells you about the tumults that these nations were doing and bringing forth, right? This is after that. It says, doing to them like as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera and Jabon at the brooks of Kishon, right? That's in Judges. I believe it's the 7th chapter, where how the Lord destroyed them, which pursued at Endor, and they became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Orab and Ziab, yea, all the princes of Zabad and Zamunah, who said, let us take to ourselves the house of God in possession. And that's what's going on. There's rounded up our brothers of the northern kingdom, right? And they're putting them in prison, right? These are hardworking people who make the day-to-day life of your so-called average American easier, right? Because your average American isn't out here cutting grass from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, right? Your average American isn't out in the vineyards picking grapes and strawberries to make your wine and so you can have your summer salads, right? These people are hard-working individuals, right? And what does Donald Trump like to call them? Rapists and murderers, right? These people are what makes the so-called American society function, right? Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So the Lord is letting all this gear up, right? Causing this house to be divided, right? And you know, the news only shows like the worst images, right? They show the images that's going to get them more views. So you can see them firebombing police cars on the highway, right? LA is known, infamous for traffic. Infamous for traffic. So imagine if somebody firebombed 3 squad cars in the middle of, I can't remember the highway in LA. How worse the traffic is going to be. Right? So the Lord is just destroying everything little by little. That's why I said the Lord is playing chess. Right? He's causing these things to happen so people can't get to their jobs, Trucks can't come in, right? So persecute them with thy tempest and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame that they may seek thy name, O Lord. So he's causing their faces to be filled with shame, not just in our eyes, but throughout the whole world. The whole world is looking at America as a laughingstock. They're no longer looking at this whore that was placed upon many waters to as something to appear at or to gaze at. Right there, Home Alone. Everybody wants to go to New York and have a good time. Those days are long gone. Where everybody looks at Americans as fat, ignorant, right, violent, stupid, right. This is the epitome of a dunce. An American is, right. You remember in the cartoons they used to wear the dunce hats,
Right.
right. That's what people look at as Americans. They look at us as dunces, right. And I say us because we're considered American in the eyes of these nations, right? So they look at us. We don't get the same shame that Esau gets. Nobody likes a pale face, right? Nobody can stand an American pale face. They may give us the benefit of the doubt, but we took on the image of our oppressors, right? Verse number 17. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish. So they're confounded, man. They're confounded at these things that keep happening. Why is there so many mass shootings? Why are our children agreeing with our enemies, right? Why are our children holding protests and holding hands with the people who we're trying to kick out of our country? That's confusion, right? That's being confounded. That's like one of your children saying, I love the white man and I want to be his best friend. Right? You're going to be troubled forever. Right? You're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to be able to eat. Your stomach's going to quake. You're going to be sweating. Right? Yea, let them be put to shame and perish. Right? So we're seeing them being put to shame on a broad spectrum for everybody to see. Right? And perish. Right? Everything is dropping day by day by day. The American dollar doesn't have the same value. Their cars are garbage. The houses are falling over because they're made with cardboard. Right?
Yeah.
Everything that the so-called white man is putting his hand to is becoming ash and stubble.
Right.
Right? And it takes a spiritual eye to be able to see that. Right? If you're still in this world, you're going to think everything's sweet. Right? Oh, the NBA finals is on. This is a great time. I love this. Right? You're going to get caught up out there in the world. But if you have your eyes spiritual, or if you have a spiritual eye and your eye singular, you see the thing is falling apart right before your eyes. Right? You see that you take 2 to 3 weeks to save up just to pay rent. Right? You paying $400 for food that'll last for 3 days. Right? Verse number 18. That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over the earth. So now we're seeing the Most High's name be magnified. While the Israelites begin to stand upon their feet and call upon the name of their God, you're starting to see everything else fall apart. Right? It's like a crumbling. It's a crumbling as a huge mountain is being resurrected before the nations. And it's not us who's doing it, it's the Most High. The Most High is rising up the children of Israel. The people who were slow of speech are being able to be filled with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and prophecy. So the more that the Most High visits the earth, the more that he's going to get praise in the land, praise in the earth, and shame to these heathens. Right, but you got it, King.
That's right, man. And the Most High, I want to get this into, we brought it up before. This is all part of the system collapsing, man. Right? And we went into this, but there's a word I want to go into this in Mark 13:8 to link up what Amos went into earlier. Right? So this is Mark 13:8. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. And when you go into this word trouble, right? Let's go into this word troubles. It doesn't mean, oh, this guy got arrested, he's in trouble, he's facing 5 years. right? He got in trouble with the law. No, this word trouble goes back to the Greek word terake, and it means disturbance, commotion, a tumult, a sedition, right? Now you look at more of the word, it says disturbance of water rolling that links up with a whirling that links up with Isaiah the 17th chapter that aim was put earlier, or a mob, sedition, right? So the Most High prophesied of mobs on the earth, man. Yahweh Shah, when he was sitting on the mountain, it wasn't just wars and rumors of wars. It was also mobs on the earth. People trying to overthrow governments. Coups, they call it, man. You know, when people are funded by other parties to overthrow their delegates and their kings and raid their government houses and buildings. And this right here in LA, this is an actual mob, right? Let me pull this up, right? Let me see if I can get the audio, right? Bear with me, right? This is an actual mob, man, right? Going on. Yes, Yahweh shall ask your pastor that Jesus Christ prophesied mobs. And they'll look at you crazy, man. Right? Not my Jesus. He won't talk about a mob. Now, this is the current situation in LA. Right? Now, this says on a 101 South. Right, let me just get this sound. Bear with me. Trying to figure out how to get this. Oh, it's lucky. All right, here you have it. See that? Look at all these Edomites, man. Military men. See that? Now these guys, they can't, the military can't use lethal force. They got something called the rules of engagement in the military. So there's, or, you know, certain laws like the Insurrection Act, there are certain things that have to be done prior to the military using that lethal force. But all it takes is one hothead, man. The Most High put a spirit on somebody to come out there with a rifle. See, right now they're throwing sticks and stones. They're throwing stones out there. They're throwing what's those mazel toffs and, you know, bricks and things. But hey, everybody don't think like that, man. All it takes is for Yahweh Shah to put a spirit on somebody to go out there with an AR-15, go out there with a rifle, post up, you know, 75 yards away, lean back, and just start lighting up this military. Once that happened, they ain't going that what's that? The riot shield. They ain't blocking that, man. Hey, these guys, they see these guys get their heads blown off. They ain't gonna be able to be in that formation no more. They're gonna scatter abroad. And once they start scattering, because they're not trained, they're trained to deal with crowd control and to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily de-escalate the situation, but to kind of maintain it. Don't do too much, don't do too little. Throw a little smoke bomb here, kind of put your shield up here, but they're not taught to go to war against the citizens. They don't have that order. Hey, but you know, if this thing go down, now I'm not saying it will, but if the Most High put the spirit of somebody to do that, then hey, it's going to happen, man. Right? I want to play this too. I want to show this as well. Right? So you see they're rioting and taking down actual police cars and police units, man. And it don't take much for things to go down. Right? Let's pull this up too. There's a lot. Right? So this is LA on fire again. Right? Let's see if we can play this. I don't know what that guy said in the background, but hey, he's mad as hell, man. Lucky, they throwing big stones out there. Ain't that how Abimelech died, man? Didn't a woman take a millstone and break his skull? So these stones, you get cracked upside the head with enough velocity, That'll crack your helmet, man. Render you unconscious. You can fall, trip, break your neck. So these guys, they life. Look, I would have called out. They better start using their PTO. Boy, King Salaki.
They're on a highway, right? And those LA highways are huge.
Yeah.
Right? They're not little at all. So imagine trying to duck scooters, right? Those electric scooters, rocks, bikes. Man, it's nowhere to hide at. Right? There's nowhere to hide. And one of them things, one of them scooters or those e-bikes hit the glass and the glass shatter and cut somebody's neck, all hell gonna break loose, man.
Yeah.
Right? And it's showing you that nobody's scared of law enforcement anymore. Right? Nobody's scared of the repercussions of the military coming in. Right? That's that spirit of strength in numbers that's going out on the earth. Right? He's showing you that Esau is losing his power structure, his power grip. That fist that they used to use, that Marxism fist, right, to show that they're in control. That grip is so loose now. But you got it, King Salaki.
No, you're right. You're right. That's second Ezra, the 15th chapter. It says, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. It says they shall have no. Actually, I'm gonna just read it for sake of time, right? I'm gonna just read it right off. I'm not gonna put it up on the screen, right? But that's second Ezra, the 15th chapter, 15 on down, right? Second Ezra, chapter 15 to 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Now you can say, well, I don't see a sword. It's not a sword is a weapon. You got minor ballistic weapons, like they throw these the muzzle toss. That's a ballistic weapon. It may not be intercontinental, but it's local. And these guys have stones. They got sticks. They got some of these guys have fireworks. I believe they call them M80s. Those big loud fireworks they used to do back in the day, man. Sound like a bomb hit. That blow your foot off. Some of these fireworks that blow your foot off, blow a finger off. One of these football players actually lost, I believe he lost his hand, man. Messing around with that.
Yeah, Justin Tuck, I believe.
Yeah. Now he lost a few fingers. So these guys, they have weapons. They got baseball bats, right? They have these people got all types of stuff in their house, man. They're getting stuff in their house. Skillets. They're throwing iron skillets, like the brother said, they throwing scooters. That's the modern day sword in their hand. Now, when they start pulling out guns, it's going to get real. Right? I'm going to read on in verse 16. Second Ezra chapter 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And it says sedition, right? They're invading one another, right? Law enforcement against the public. And the Lord said, they should not regard their kings nor princes. Like Amos said, they don't care who's the mayor. They don't care about Congress. They don't care about the Constitution. They got a problem, huh? And they're going to do whatever they want to do or how they think it's going to get resolved. They don't care about the laws and how, sign here, do a petition, go before the judge, and you go through the legal process. All that is out the window at this point in time. Right, but you got it, King. I just want to show that. I'm gonna finish this quick clip, Salaki. Yeah, that was it on that. But you got it, King.
Con. Yeah, somebody corrected me. It's Jason Pierre Paul. That was his name.
Okay, con.
Right, and there was another video, dude. When the Dodgers won the World Series, was trying to throw one of those firecrackers, blew his whole hand off.
Yeah.
Right, blood shooting out your hand. Right, so this isn't a Hollywood movie set, even though it's close by Hollywood. Right, this is intense. Right, people are about to start losing their lives in these situations. Right, people are going to start being put to death. Right, and they're going to say it was an accident or somebody took it too far, just like January 6th. Right, just like January 6th, how that lady got shot. Right, they shot her in the throat or something. right? That's going to start heating up. That's why, Israel, you have to study to be quiet. You don't need to be in these protests. You don't need to be out there on the front line, right? You have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Get your house in order, right? The dead are going to bury the dead, right? Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse number 13. Right, so we're seeing the beauty of the Most High, right, over and over and over and over. And Esau been feeling themselves since January when Trump got into office.
Right.
Right, them hillbillies and them rednecks, right, they're feeling themselves like Trump is their best friend or their neighbor. Right, Trump doesn't care about anybody. He only cares about money. Right, this is all a financial scheme for him to get more money for when he's out of office. Right, you got people who are back behind it. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's like the Bilderberg Group,
right?
George Soros, right? These people get paid off of these incidences. They get paid off of, like the brother said, modern day swords being used. Right, all this stuff is working to put more money in their pockets. Right, but this is 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse number 13. So he answered me and said, stand up upon thy feet and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place whereof thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word of the end, for the word of the end and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved. Right? So the speech of the Lord is trembling and is moving and it's causing things to shake up, right? You think these people thought that ICE was going to come down to them at their children's graduation, right? Do you think that man, that cop thought he was going to be running for his life away from boulders and what do they call it? Mazel tov cocktails?
Right.
Right? Do you think he thought that was going to be happening that morning? Of course not. For it knows that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I heard it, I stood upon my feet and hearkened. And behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was the sound of many waters. And it said, behold, the days come that I would begin to draw nigh and visit them that dwell upon the earth. Right? This goes back to the precept that the brother brought out maybe about 30 minutes ago. Right? This is the time where the Lord is visiting the earth. Right? Not just with these seditions in California, right? Or what's about to happen in DC and Baltimore, because they're protesting too. But look what's going on in these other countries. I believe a Colombian presidential candidate just got shot in the head, right? In the midst of him doing his speech, he was shot in his head, right? Look what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, right? They're stockpiling more weapons up. Right, a whole nother country. I believe it was Iran. Not Iran. Was it Iran? It might have been. It was one of them countries.
Right. Pakistan up too.
Pakistan. Right, they got nuclear weapons already. Right, they're saying they're only using nuclear facilities, but you know that's just saying they got nuclear weapons ready. So the Lord is drawing nigh to the earth. Right, Shalom, King.
Shalom, kings.
Right, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, and when the world shall begin to vanish away. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then I shall show tokens, and books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. Right, so this world is vanishing away little by little by little by little. And you seeing the things that we used to have when we were younger, they're no longer here. Restaurants, right? Cars, right? Understanding, sympathy, love, correction from elders, all that stuff is vanishing away. It's a new structure that's being set forth and put forth that people are trusting in. Right? And the fields that were sown and fruitful are no longer going to be fruitful. Right? The Lord is going to stop up the rain from coming. right? That small window of repentance is closing more and more and more each day. So these things are being shut up, and you're going to see every man is going to go back to his own people, right? Every man is going to run back and forsake what he's learned in Babylon, or forsake what he's learned in whatever country he may be in, and trust in his own people. And once that happens, that's when you know that we're right at the end, right? But brothers got it.
Con, you got it right. Shalom, King.
Shalom, Kings. Khan, that's right. Right. I want to get the mighty book of, let me see what I want. Jeremiah chapter 50, right? In verse number 38. Right. I mean, this whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at 36. Right. And it reads, it said, a sword is upon the liars, and they that dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. Right? And the Lord is breaking down all of the mighty men of these societies, man. All of that structure, that system. I don't know if brothers touched on it, but it was a picture from the government. They said we will maintain order. We will get back to maintaining order, right? But all of that's just a front. The Lord's breaking the society down slowly. He says the sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And just like the brother Amos was going into, you have a melting pot of all nations. Right? I mean, what's going to happen if you put all dogs in one kennel? Right? You're bound to have corruption, fights, right? One dog stronger than the other. Everybody has to be with their own people, right? It's a mighty thing of segregation. Well, we don't need to fight to be equal with somebody we're better than, nor do we need to be in a situation where we're not looking toward corruption in the end, man. These things have to happen. Prophecy has to happen. Things need to get uncomfortable. Buildings need to flourish and break down, right? All of the different things going into famines. These things need to kick off in order for our salvation to draw nigh. It said a sword is upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. Right? Why does it say as women? Meaning frantic, all over the place, looking for shelter, looking for help, not having anything organized, looking for refuge, looking for protection. It says, a sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's robbing this society and taking everything that they built up off of the backs of our fathers, man. And it's breaking down extremely slowly. Right, I got one more through the spirit in the book of Ecclesiastes. Shalom, Yardan. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 2. Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 12 and verse number 2. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened. So you have to look for your creator in the days of your youth, right? Before these things happen. These are the days of your youth. You're born again through the spirit, man, right? You're renewed. You're a new creature. These are the days where you're born again and you're coming back to the Heavenly Father as in the days of old when we followed him in the wilderness. As this time is going on, the Lord said, look for him. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. So the Lord has prophesied all throughout the scriptures that the mightiest of men are going to be like women, the grinders, the strength, right? The police, the government, your nobles, your kings of the earth will be frantic. Now, they're not going to be frantic in the public. They're not going to be frantic on camera as they're going live trying to calm down the people. But behind closed doors, they're jogging up bills. They're sweating. They're trying to force, wars and different things. And people that's 17 years old, they may pass a new bill where when you're 16 years and older, you have to issue into the war. Right? This society is going to come down and be so frantic, so overthrown that the things are going to start to move in. It's going to overthrow the people. It says, because there are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. And this place is being darkened. The sun, the moon, the light, it's all a reference to the light, right? That's supposed to govern the heavens and give light to the people. But parabolically, this whole society, right, is going to come down to naught and not be able to see. The Lord darkened Egypt. That was the last plague, right before the death of the firstborn, right before he came back. The second to the last plague. but the last plague before the Lord came on the scene and killed everybody. And that's exactly what's going on. The Lord is darkening this society and all of these people. Brothers, God.
Con. Shalom, Yaradan. You got it. You got something, King?
Con. Can brothers hear me?
Con.
Beautiful points. And I want to let me back up that point Orion made when he said, Esau said, we need to maintain order, or we will restore order. And Esau is pretty ironic because he knows nothing about order. All things considered, this entire state, this country is ran out of order. Nothing is done predicated off the laws, statutes, and or commandments. I mean, you have sodomites roaming freely, doing whatever they please amongst everybody, just being a freak, being a perv, wearing dog masks, harassing kids. You know, a brother told me the story. He was somewhere down south. I'm not going to do it, but a sodomite kind of hissed at him like a snake. And his family, it was madness. Just hissed like a snake once they saw him. So, I mean, Esau, if you really want to restore order, kick these sodomites out. But deep down, they don't mind that spirit, right? But it reads in Wisdom of Solomon 10:2. It's like 2:10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us spare not the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. That's his real idea of order. Oppressing the poor, oppressing the widow, oppressing the poor man in his old age. That's his idea of order. It's left-handed and it's twisted. His idea of order isn't really truly rooted in righteousness. I mean, Proverbs 29:2 is proof in the pudding. I'll bring out that last precept. Proverbs 29:2. And, you know, prior to things, you know, completely shutting down, there's always these bubbles, so to speak, right? These riots was a bubble because it built up, now it burst. You know, all bubbles and, you know, so to speak, they all pop at the end of the day, right? This was a slow build up, whether it be orchestrated or not. Understand it was a slow build up, nevertheless. In Proverbs 29:2, it reads, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people mourn. If the righteous was in authority, we probably wouldn't be doing this video. Right? We wouldn't have to condemn all these wicked things. But when the wicked rule, beareth rule, the people mourn. Right? We're doing this video because the people are mourning. Every brother on this call on the comment board, your spirit is mourning because you're in a strange, desolate, empty land with no life, no wisdom, no water, no fruits, no sun, no nothing. It's just desolate, and the people mourn. And I want to get one more in back to Wisdom of Solomon 2:11. This is the same man that said, let us restore order. So if you trust in Esau, you're trusting in him to continue to oppress you. That's why we call people who love America coons, because you love to be oppressed by a wicked man. Right? That's real. That's freak. That's real freaky. That's off. In verse 11, it reads, let our strength be the law of justice. And what is Esau's strength? Right? Anything that he has power over. He has power over the school system. He has power over the law, the judicial system. He has power over all these different areas. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient great. Oh, I read that, Slakia. Let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. What the Lord said, you know, something as small as the bee is even found considerable. What's that, Sirach 11:3? Bring that out real quick as well. The bee is little among such as a fly, but her fruit is the chief of sweet things. So, you know, this place is going to be desolate soon. And Esau doesn't care about even a feeble man, even the littlest man. David cared, you know. But with that, I yield.
Kind is right, man. You got a lot going on in the earth, man. You have I saw that when brother said we will restore order. There's another thing that I saw that Trump, this devil came out and said, see if I could find it. he basically came out and said, we want troops everywhere, right? He said, we want troops everywhere. He said, we're going to have them all over the place. I'll see if I can find that, right? Let's see. And then you got this going on in New York too, man, right? Arrests made after anti-ICE protests erupt in lower Manhattan. So you got this going on in Manhattan. That's New York. It's in LA, right? The Most High got these spirits all in the earth, man. Right? They said it's in San Francisco. Let me see if we can just pull that, see if it pops up, right? San Francisco, right? It's like you bear with me. ICE riots. I know I spelled it all wrong. See that? It's in San Francisco, man. It's going and it's spreading like the frogs in the book of Exodus, man. Right? More than 150 arrested after anti-ICE protest in San Francisco, LA, New York, San Francisco, man. Let's go to let's stay in Wisdom of Solomon. Let's go to the 14th chapter. Right? We read that Yahushua prophesied of mobs, man. Right? Solomon also spoke of these things. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse number 25. So that there reigned in all men without exception blood, that's murder, right? Manslaughter, that's also murder. Theft, right? We know what that is. Dissimulation, that's breaking up. Corruption, that's sedition, wickedness. Unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury. So the Lord said one of the signs that break down the kingdom, and that's going to reign in all men in these days, you're also going to have the spirit of tumults in the earth. Yeah, you're going to have sodomy. You're going to have pork eaters. You're going to have Sabbath breakers. But there's another demon on the earth that is going to infest men, and that's the tumult demon, the riot demon. You had riots in the ancient world, man. Paul had to deal with riots. He had to deal with angry mobs. Right? Let me pull up the definition of a tumult for brothers that may not know. Right? And I'm going to get one more quick precept. Here's the definition of a tumult. As Solomon spoke of these things, a loud, confused noise, especially one caused by a large mass of people, right? Pandemonium, melee, a frenzy, right? These are a ruckus, a commotion. Yahushua said that there will be commotions in the book of Luke, the 21st chapter. He spoke of commotions, tumults, and riots of the people, man. When Yahushua was on the mount, he prophesied of these things. And he did again in the days of Solomon. He said that there will reign in all men tumults in the people. Right? Let's go to another quick precept. Let's go to 1 Kings, because that spirit is not new, man. You had a tumult in the days of Rehoboam. Right? I want to get this. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but Rehoboam, the Most High put a spirit on him, really a demon on him, right, to divide the kingdom through oppression and judgment. Right? Now, I'm going to jump down in 1 Kings, the 12th chapter. Now, remember, Solomon was oppressing a lot of the northern tribes when he divided the land up, not based off of family inheritance that the Most High did, but he divided it up based off of natural resources. So there was a lot of tribal division and a lot of discontent that a lot of the 10 tribes had to deal with when Solomon was in power. So they came before his son and said, hey, can you lessen the yoke and make it easy? Rehoboam said, no, I'm going to be worse than my father. So they was hot. Like Yaradon said, that thing festered up. But let's see what happened. 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse number 16. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, what portion have we in David? And that's what they're saying. What portion have we in America? You don't want to listen to us, man. These people are rioting because they're breaking down, like the brother said, schools. They breaking into homes, going into your job, robbing the people, and the people just want the so-called northern tribes, Mexicans, etc., to be treated fairly, man. Right? This is their land. They inhabited the land of California. They're the ancient Aztecs, man. Right? They're the people that the Most High gave this land to. But now the people are at the point they said, what portion have we, man? Right? You don't want to listen to us. We might as well break off. Right? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel, Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed to their tents. So this was the division between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. But this is happening again, right? But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Here's the point, verse 18. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. Therefore, King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So all hell broke loose. Here you said you're going to oppress the people more. Then you sent this man to collect the taxes and the tribute. It was a riot, man. This is one of the first accounts of a biblical riot. It didn't say some of Israel. It said all Israel. They gathered up, and it was yelling. There was probably cussing, man, throwing stuff, and they stoned it with stones. Then they came after the king. And the king, I got to get out of here. So he got up in his chariot, hitting the damn horses, getting out of here. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day. You see that? And the Most High putting that spirit on America, right? These Americans, these Babylonians are rebelling against the house of Esau unto this day in the month of June, right? And there's we pull up the pictures. They're stoning those police officers, man. They're literally stoning them. They're throwing boulders, cinder blocks, bricks, sticks, pebbles, anything that they can find over these SWAT team and Marine Corps. Well, the Marine Corps is coming out. They ain't gonna really do that to the Marines. Marines, they might take lethal action. We'll see, right? We'll see what the Most High put in their spirit, right? But you see this going on. Rebellions are biblical. The brothers got it.
Con. And, we all were young, chiefly us men. When we was young, we used to have pebble fights and rock fights, man. Right. That's not a pleasant thing to get hit with, man. Right? And to let me back on the point, the brother Naquan brought out, they even tried to stone Yahushua.
Right. You still there?
Can brothers hear me?
Yeah, you kind of broke up for a minute.
I
can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened, but yeah, let's go to John chapter 8 and verse 59 to let me back on the point. There's always been seditions and uproars and people getting mad when they hear things they don't want to hear. Right? They even tried to stone Yahushua. Right? They even tried to stone Yahushua after he explained to them everything, plain as day. John, the 8th chapter, is probably one of the most plain as day chapters you can read. Right? It says, and they took up stones to cast at him, but Yahushua hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. So they were trying to stone the Lord. He ducking and dodging stones and rocks, right? So just imagine if that was 1,000 people, 10,000 people, right? So all of this happens, not this point, this is just let me back on what the brother said, but all of this, sedition, anger, tumults, all of this is coming from oppression, right? And I brought it up earlier. These are small portions of Marxism, right? It isn't a full communist country, but what they do is they separate things by class, right? They place things in class, and the lower class is usually the ones who work the hardest, and the ones who are considered the head work the least, right? So this is all from oppression and distress and being distraught. So can we look up how many people have ICE detained or arrested in 2025? Right. It says as of June 1st, 2025, Track reported that ICE held 51,302 people in detention. That number is significant. This number is a significant increase from 39,703 detainees in January 2025. Furthermore, 22,000 of them have no criminal record. Right, so they're just detaining people just to detain people, man. Right, this is just like a prison system without having to go through the judicial system.
Right.
Right, I think if you do that math, that's probably like 8,000 people a month. So they detained 8,000 people already in 6 months of 2025. Right, that's insane. That's insane, and there's no true definition of who can be detained and who can't. Because there was a huge thing going on in Maryland. They sent a man who was a U.S. citizen back to Guatemala. Right? He couldn't get back. So now they're trying to bring him back and press charges against him. It's a lot of confusion going on. But these are just unrighteous dealings that we have to see and deal with and compel our people to stay strong and to endure into the end. Right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 40. And we can start at verse number 12. Right? Sirach 40 and verse number 12. Right? So don't let these things shake you or discourage you. Right? Because it's going to be in a city right next to where you are. If you're not in one of these major cities. Right? It's going to go to Oklahoma, Wyoming. It's going to happen everywhere. New Mexico, Arizona, Arkansas. Right? It's not just these major cities that are going to see it. It's going to happen everywhere. Right? So this is Sirach chapter 41 and 12. All bribery and injustice shall be blotted out, but true dealings shall endure forever. The goods of the unjust shall be dried up like a river, and shall vanish with noise like a great thunder and rain. Right? So we're seeing all the bribery and injustice is right before our face, man. You're seeing backhanded deals where corrupt politicians and corrupt senators and so on and so forth are getting away scot-free after they committed murder. Right? But they're putting our brothers and sisters in these concentration camps, not to be seen from or heard from in X amount of days, months, years. Right? No clothing. Right? Not an adequate amount of water or food to nourish their bodies. Right? Those are the briberies and injustices that's going on. Who do you think is funding and getting paid for all of these concentration camps that are being set up? Right? Your politicians that you call and vote for every year. Right? While he opened his hand, he shall rejoice, so shall transgressors come to naught. And we're seeing everything that Esau is doing is coming to naught. Right? They tried to do that poison rollout, and it's coming to naught, man. Nobody's trusting in their science. Nobody's trusting in their philosophies, their empty threats, right? All this stuff is just coming to naught. And the children of the ungodly shall not bring forth many branches, but are as unclean roots upon a hard rock, right? So we're seeing their children become unprofitable. They're getting strung out on opioids. They're not following in the ways of their forefathers, right? They want to be like us. Right? They're moving more and more in the spirit of, I want to be the slave. And that's the Most High putting it in their spirit. And we're moving more in the spirit of, we're royalty, kings and princesses. Right? So their children are like unclean roots upon the rock. The weed growing upon every river and bank of, or every water and bank of a river shall be pulled up before all grass. So they're going to be pulled up. That's Isaiah the 14th chapter. Prepare slaughter for their children, right? They're just getting numbered to the sword, right? This is a precursor of how Esau's kingdom is going to fall, right? Those flames are going to engulf all America, right? The pit, England is going to be destroyed, man. Everywhere that Esau walks is going to be destroyed, right? How wherever the Jews dwell is Jerusalem. Wherever Esau is dwelling, that's Taman and Dedan. Right? They're chief cities. Bountifulness is as a most fruitful garden, and mercifulness endure forever. Right? So we're seeing the merciful getting mercy. right? The Most High is starting to show his mercy unto us, that we're getting the olive oil that we need to sustain us. So we're not being like the foolish virgins, Lord forbid. And we're increasing more and more, right? Watching the videos. Look at the numbers on the videos going up, right? People are in tune. They want to know what's next. They need more precepts. They need more understanding. They're filling themselves up with that honey and that bread and that living water so they can sustain in these last days. Like the brother said when we had the Sabbath service, right? The deepest and darkest breakdowns aren't going to save you. Your faith, right? That substance that you read to know how to move in these last days, right? Because the Lord told you in Matthew 25 what's going to happen, how they're going to try to seduce you and go find the Messiah in the desert somewhere, right? Or they're going to say he's in this city, follow us. If you didn't read or fill yourself up with the knowledge, you're going to fall for anything. That's why they have that wise saying, stand for something or fall for everything. So you have to continue to look, search, read, right? Take notes, right? Ask questions so you'll be able to move in these last days and not get caught up in these tumults. But you got it, King.
Khan. Yeah, I wanted to bring that's a mighty point. Yeah, I wanted to bring this out too in the book of Job, chapter 5, right, in verse number 2. Right, and seditions have been all throughout the scriptures. That always happens, right? Seditions, tumults, right, and all of these different spirits to overthrow a kingdom. It's the book of Job, chapter 5, verse 2. For wrath killeth the foolish man. Who is the foolish man? Esau. Right? His wrath, his hatred, right? That old ancient wicked spirit of hate and envy is embedded in his soul. It says, for wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. Silly because they're without any sense, any knowledge and wisdom of the Most High. And that envying Jacob has followed and pursued him for generations. I have seen the foolish taking root. What is taking root? Just like the book of Obadiah, they shall build, man, but I will throw down. And they've been building up all of America, man, right through the backs of our fathers. It says, I've seen the foolish taking root. You've seen all of their architectural things they've built up, their science, their medicine, everything they've brought forth has taken root as an evil plant. But suddenly I cursed his habitation. Where is his habitation? All the parts of America. It's getting cursed. The curses of Deuteronomy are going to fall on Esau and these other strange children, man. So don't look for a specific day. Brothers always say, you know, prophecy isn't going to knock on the door. It isn't going to let you know what to notice. Okay, there's 3 more days before this comes to pass. You have to be vigilant and keep watch. These curses in the kingdom is breaking down its economy, and you can see parts of prophecy all throughout the prophets coming to pass, even to this very day. It says, but suddenly, meaning you got to keep watch, because at the back of an eye, you can have a whole street locked down. You can have all tumult to the people. You understand, the government getting involved. And the Lord start breaking down his economy. Now people are looting. They're robbing, right? Think that stores are being overthrown. People are ravishing all of the goods and all of these markets and storehouses. It says, but suddenly I curse his habitation. Right? Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 20. Right? Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 20. And this happened during the time of David, a rebellion, right? And these things always happen to try to overthrow a kingdom, right? Now, you can't have 2 kingdoms within a kingdom. We're a kingdom emerging in this man's kingdom. So, of course, he's going to try to stop that, right, and overthrow that. And, of course, we're going to keep growing just like we did in Egypt, man. That's why Pharaoh sent taskmasters and afflicted us, because we grew. And spiritually, we're in this Egypt. And we're growing in number. We're growing in wisdom. We're growing in prophets, apostles, leaders, kings. And we're growing in this society. And Pharaoh doesn't like that, man. The so-called white man, the king of Babylon, the murderer, the serpent, right? These things are going to stop and overthrow, you understand, the uprising. It's the book of 2 Samuel chapter 20. And I'm going to start at verse number 1. It says, and there happened to be there a man of Belial, right, whose name was Sheba, right, a wicked man of Satan, the son of Berachar, a Benjamite, and he blew a trumpet and said, we have no part in David. That's what the wicked say. We have nothing to do with the throne of the Lord. We have nothing to do with the elect. We have nothing to do with the throne of mercy, the throne of grace, right? The everlasting king, right? Throne that's set up. We have nothing to do with David. Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse, every man to his tent, O Israel. So what did he do? He started a sedition, an uprise to overthrow David's kingdom, huh? You're always going to have that. You had that in the wilderness, man, with Moses, right? And Abraham and Dathan, right? And the wicked. You have that all throughout the scriptures. It says, so every man of Israel went up from after David and followed Sheba, the son of Bertrah, but the men of Judah clave unto their king. Right? So I mean that's spiritual. The elect is always going to follow the righteousness. They're always going to cleave into the house of the Lord and the throne that's set up from Jordan even right to Jerusalem. Right. And I'm going to rest right there, but just to show you all throughout the scriptures, there's seditions, there's uprises. Right. The apostles often got kicked out of the cities for teaching the truth. I want to get one more through the spirit in Acts chapter what was that 13 and start at 49. The apostles often got kicked out of the cities for the tumults and the uprises of the truth. And people hate oppression. The Lord says, surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. It's not necessarily talking about a man with ancient gray hairs has his arms folded and he's upset. Right? Mad is an old ancient way of saying insane. Meaning even the most wisest man can't keep his composure when he's oppressed, man. People go insane. It doesn't matter how much wisdom and knowledge you have, man. At some point, somebody's going to reach a breaking point and go mad. Right? This is the book of Acts, chapter 13. And I'm going to start at verse, right? I'm going to start at 46 and then jump down 49. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, it was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you, right? But seeing ye put it from you, and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. And if you don't want to receive this truth in the ministry that the Most High gave me, okay, cool. I'm going to go to the Gentiles. Jumping down to verse 49. When they heard this, the city didn't like that. There's going to be things this city in this world hears that they're not going to like, man. Right? Prophecy. It's a dreadful sound in their ears, like it says in Job 15th chapter. They hate to hear the truth. Right? It says, and the word of the Lord was published throughout all the region. That's spiritual because you have these things going out, the truth going out throughout the four corners of the earth. But the Jews stirred up the devout and honorable women. So start stirring up all of the women around. And the chief men of the city and raised persecutions against Paul and Barnabas. That's not a light matter. Persecution is death. So if you're raising up all of these people throughout all these regions and stirring up the minds of the folks to want to kill you, that's a heavy matter, right? They'll kill you with, a sword. They'll stone you. They'll hang you. They'll behead you, right? I mean, if they find you, they'll throw you off a cliff headlong like they tried to do the Lord. So they tried to raise up persecutions against Paul and Barnabas and expelled them out of their coast. That's not talking about they asked them nicely. If you expel somebody, that's exactly what the army, right, and the so-called white man is trying to do to people. They're expelling them out of regions, out of coasts, out of cities. They're locking them up. They're pushing them over borderlines. They're making it hard for people to go back home and dwell in their city. They're blocking off roads, right? These things are happening just like in the days of old. See, in the days of old was for righteousness and the truth's sake. And those things are going to come back on the earth. But for right now, you have injustice. You have seditions rising up, right? Because you have a wicked judge over the land, right? It says, but they shook off the dust of their feet against them and came into Iconium, meaning this work doesn't stop. Right, you may shut off this city or stop and overthrow this bridge, but this work isn't going to stop. And the disciples were filled with joy and with the Holy Ghost, and that's spiritual. Again, you have these seditions and divisions, right, that are biblical, that has happened from the time of David to the time of the New Testament, and it's happening to this very day. Brothers got it.
You got some yard down?
God. I got the book of Sirach, chapter 29, verse 10. Just two precepts.
Can't hear you, King.
Brothers, hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little low, but yeah, I can hear you.
Brothers, can't hear me?
Con.
Con.
Gone.
Come on, that's better.
Sirach 29 and it's like what is it? 28 and 10. As the matter of the fire is, so is it burneth. And as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And
Hmm.
that's America. This is fitting for America. Because Esau is always a wrathful, angry person, angry man. So is America. And according to his riches, Slakia, according to his riches, his anger riseth. And we know Esau is one of the richest countries. And the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. And so that's why you got to return to the Lord, lest you be inflamed and caught up into all the madness and revolts, you know? And a lot of these men upon the earth, they're doing this out of frustration, which is understandable. But you don't want to, you as an Israelite, knowing that you're an Israelite, you can't get caught out there. Don't try to, force the hand of the Lord, and don't force the hand of the Lord and force the cards and say, yeah, I want to revolt too. And now you all up in there, and then next thing you know, you get jammed up. Now you're in prison, facing 15 to 20 years because you vandalized a police car. Now what, brother? I mean, what are you gonna do now? You know. But nevertheless, the spirit at the moment is rising upon man to revolt, because it wasn't like this in the 50s and 60s. People wasn't really revolting like they are now. And if it was nice and quiet, and they had to picket fence, what's like the picket signs, and they march in a single file line. That's not done no more. Men doesn't care about marching in a single file line anymore. They don't care about staying up all night and doing doing the posters and making it look pretty and standing in unison. People want to fight. People are pissed. The nations that they roar, the streets is going to be filled with blood, if not already, slowly but surely. This is a time to be alive, and this is really a time to repent. Brothers got it.
Con, I'm gonna pull this up. Brother sent something. So this is it's a lot going on, man. It's a lot going on in the earth, man, through the spirit. And like Yaradan said, the Most High, this is the spirit the Most High has on the earth, man. Right? The Most High, he's heavy into governments and structures. There's order and structure in the heavens. Right? The Lord said, let all things be done decently in order. So when the Most High begins to show you the destabling and the destruction of a government, that's heavy prophecy. It's not a light matter, man. Right? Because the Most High is heavy into structure and he's heavy into order, right? Through the spirit, man. But I want to pull this up. So bear with me. Now I'm gonna pull this up. This is the Marine Corps. Amos, that's what you wanted, right?
Come.
All right, let me pull this up. This is, I believe that's it. Hold on, bear with me. That's not it. Slovakia. All right. This is it, right? This is from U.S. Northern Command. Marines with the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, who are placed in an alert status over the weekend to support U.S. Northcom mission, prepared to depart for the greater L.A. area June 9th. Right? So they got this out there, man. And really, on another level, I was thinking about it. This is like righteous. I hate to use the word predictive programming, but brothers should be seeing this, and this should stir up your mind about Jacob's trouble, man. Like the Most High, he's desensitizing you to see military personnel, right? You're being conditioned to see tanks in the streets. You're being conditioned to see the military mobilized. So when these things befall us, as as the servants of Yahweh Shemel Shai, we're not taken aback and we're not completely thrown off the loop, man. We're right now the men of the Lord. We're looking at this, and this is desensitizing us to a degree. We're being conditioned to accept the fact that there will be military in the street. There will be detaining. There will be imprisonment. There will be confiscation of goods, man. Right? So it's also a beautiful thing that the Most High is showing us this, because we're actually seeing how these things are going to befall us, because ICE is not the number one threat to the New World Order. This is just part of this scheme and the agenda of these elites, man, because they're also desensitizing the people to predictive programming when they want to establish a New World Order, to establish their draconian laws and their military system. They want the people to see these tanks, man. You know, they want they go into these areas where they know Issachar is at, and I believe a brother went into that, to stir up confusion. They want the people to accept the fact that military is going to be on the streets now. You're not going to have your average police officer who's walking down a crosswalk, and he gets the cat out the tree, and he takes his hat off and puts it on your son, and they take a picture. All of that is coming to an end, and now they're going to start putting these militaries personnel out there, man. And they're going to be the new law enforcement, not just your police officer with a billy club. The new police is going to be the military state with an AR-15, with curfews and shutdowns and all of these things, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Abashah. Right, Amos, you want to say some more on this, King?
Nah, I was just saying that was the first wave, right? So they said they were mobilizing 700. So it's looking like they're about to bring in much more than that. And these are heavy artillery Jeeps that they got.
Right.
They're not coming in there just to hold posts. They're coming in there to do some damage. Right. Just not to take too much time. That happened in Baltimore about 10 years ago with the Freddie Gray riots. Right. They brought in the Marines. And they brought in the reserves and everything. They had those military vehicles out there. They were shooting off the smoke gas and the stun bombs and all that. Right? It was chaos, man. And LA is much bigger than Baltimore, so how ugly it's about to get, you can only imagine. Right? But you got it, King.
And 2 more points. One, LA is a good testing ground for military exercises and things like this, man. The streets, the population, the demographics. So this is also Esau. He chose this city. They could have. These devils know what they're doing, man. They could have hit up. They could have did somewhere Denver, or they could have did Seattle. They could have did Miami. This was designed. So it's also like a fitting exercise for Esau, man. When it's time to round up Jake, to see. Because after these type of operations, they always have a debriefing. What things worked well, what things didn't work well. How can we go and target the houses? Did you have trouble, navigating through the highway? How was this military vehicle? Should we choose another military vehicle? Because they're going to make war against us, So a lot of this there's a lot of other, what's the word I'm looking for? Other motives besides just ICE, when it comes to the mobilization of military personnel out in the public, right? Desensitization, training, debriefing, process planning, all of these things, these devils, they study. I want to get this in 2nd Ezra, right? The 16th chapter, real quick, right? We all know this. Right, let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 16. So we're looking at this too, knowing that, hey, we're going to be taken by these devils, man. It's not just going to be an Issacharite working at a warehouse or in the Home Depot. We're also going to fall victim to these things. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, and verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. You're going to be constrained against your will, right, to eat things offered unto idols, to denounce the Most High, denounce Yahweh. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. For there shall be in every place. Now, Trump, I got to find it. Trump did say we're going to put troops everywhere. I'll see if I can find it before we wrap up this live. I thought I sent it, but maybe I didn't. But he said we're going to put troops everywhere, man. What the Most High said, for there should be in every place and in the next cities, not next townships and villages, cities, DC, Baltimore, LA, Miami, New York, major metropolitan areas. That the what the brother just sent, it says they're going to the greater LA area. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's like the suburb. They're going to like the suburbs and they're expanding. You know, they're not just staying downtown on one highway. So they're going to be in the next cities, a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. An insurrection is a violent overthrow against a government. We are the government of Yahweh Bashmiel Shah. So they're going to attempt to overthrow us. They should be like mad men, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And it ain't going to be, when it says mad men, there won't be riot shields, right? There won't be billy clubs. There won't be flashbangs. There won't be smoke bombs. It's going to be hollow tips, military high-grade weapons, strictly targeting the elect, man. And these devils have weapons made just for the elect. Maybe they have weapons they conjured up with a sorcerer, a warlock to try to hit your spirit. Hey, these devils, we want to kill them and take their spirit from them too. We want to shoot them out the truth. All right. This bullet, is tapped by a damn wizard, a warlock, to put them in sin. I'm led to believe these devils have high grade. They've consulted with warlocks and wizards for their weaponry to be tainted with the sorcery and witchcraft, man. And they're going to be like mad men, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, man. So be mindful. What you see going on in LA, New York, and all these cities, it's just a prelude and a precursor to what the men and women of Yahweh are going to go through for abandoning this ministry. That's the prophecy of Jacob's trouble that leads to us being pilgrims on the earth. Huh? The brothers got it.
I just sent the I sent the Trump wars troops everywhere. If you want to look it up, but you got to go on.
I was going to say too, what Amalek did to Ishmael, they dipped the bullets in pigs.
Yep, yeah.
So you can imagine what they'll do for us. They might put a 6.6. Not that this is going to harm or affect us. We don't have faith that it's not going to scare us, but they may put 6 and weird stuff on it and symbols. They may put, God knows what. I don't know, but it's not going to be candy canes and chili dogs.
Right. That's right. Right. Real quick, Trump. It's like Trump warns of troops everywhere and vows to charge any California officials who obstruct deportations. Is get down and lay down, and we want troops everywhere. San Francisco, LA. They might just test California. And Cali been a state where they said they want to secede from the U.S. They said they want to break off from their own country, man. And there's a lot of, when you watch that movie, one more point, Civil War, I believe they had 3 major rebellions. They had brother could correct me if I'm wrong, but they had one that was like with California. Then they had like the Florida Alliance. But I believe California in that movie, I believe it's called Civil War, they played a major part in one of those rebellions. Brother could correct me if I'm wrong, but brothers got it.
God, the brothers hear me?
God.
I think they said that it was Florida and California. They said California remained loyal to the Union during the Civil War, and for Florida, oh nope, it's like this is something else. You talking about the movie Civil War, right?
Yeah, the movie 8. And real quick, 2 hours ago, Donald Trump said he weighs in on Civil War concerns. I don't want Civil War, but he said,
So it's it was the Western forces. Yep. This is a major secessionist movement in the film, composed of an unusual partnership between California and Texas. Their goal was to overthrow the authoritarian president who is serving an extended, potentially illegitimate 3rd term. Now, if brothers know anything about politics and what's been happening, Google how many times Trump has spoken about breaching the Constitution just to be a president for the third term. In fact, people already have merchandise and memorabilia of the third term with Trump next year, whatever the year is, whatever that year may be, you know. And this is also in the movie. It reads this: the third term and has engaged in actions like disbanding the FBI, using airstrikes against American citizens. The film's director, Alex Garland, intentionally created this alliance to challenge the conventional political expectations and emphasize the seriousness of the president's actions. And then you had the Florida alliance.
Right.
It was Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee. And it was also involved in a fight. So it was nuts. A lot of stuff going on. And the governor, I believe the governor of California, he's a real liberal, if I'm not mistaken. I think his name is Gavin Newman. And he Gavin Newman was kind of disrespecting Trump a couple of months ago. I think during the forest fires. It might have been last year. It was sometime, I can't remember. Kind of said some words to him. It wasn't nice on camera. Kind of pulled him close. So they already have some tension.
I just wanted to make this quick point too. Yeah, they are trying to be their independent state. They're projected, so-called, to be their own independent state by 2028. They said if 55% rather, vote for it. So I mean that's in their talks. So they're trying to branch off, from this government. They're branching off with everything. I mean, America's divided, literally. Could you pull that up, King?
Yeah.
I think it's called well, it's according to the Secretary of State, but they're trying to break off by 2028, they said.
Okay, let's see. I'll type in 2028. All right, they're going to try to secede from this place.
Right, it says a proposal exists to place a question on the number, it's like a question on the November 2028 ballot, asking California voters if they wish to secede from the United States and become an independent country. So they're gearing up right now. They're putting this and instilling this in the minds of all of these Californians, man, all these natives. If approved by voters, the measure would not immediately trigger secession, according to the Legislative Analyst's Office. Instead, it would establish a commission to study the feasibilities of California independence and require a vote of no confidence in the U.S. government, right? So, I mean, they don't get more divided than that. Never seen a nation trying to just break off from another nation. Normally, it's like America trying to join with Canada, trying to join and pick up more land, not to be divided out of their own land, right, that they stole. My brothers, guys, I just want to make that quick point.
And real quick, when it says they have to require a vote of no confidence, I looked that up. It says a vote of no confidence is a vote that a majority does not support the policy of a leader or a governing body, right? So it can there's a lot going on, man. They call it Cal exit. Not even gave it a term. Cal exit, right? Cal exit. It'll be absolute freakism out there. I got one precept. The brothers got any precepts? I'll bring out real quick.
You got it, Ken.
I'm gonna pull this up real quick. This is the book of Daniel to add to what brother said, right? This Daniel, right? Chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at verse number 42. I'll start at 41. It reads, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And these toes is going into the 10 toes. It's going into NATO and the EU. America being the chief leader of NATO. Now, the Most High said that the kingdom's going to be divided, man. Right? And the kingdom is divided. You have people really struggling to grasp the concept that people that are native in this land, allegedly, because we're really from the land of Israel, belong in this land. Then people saying, no, they don't belong in this land. Right? Then you got people saying, well, you know what? We should deport them. Then people saying we shouldn't deport them. Well, the whole state said we should break off. Then other people said, no, you can't go anywhere. So the kingdom is divided, man. Yeah, they have military might, like the strength of iron. They have missiles. They have Marines. They have all of this technology, but their society and their government structure is completely weak. Verse number 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And they can go and bomb you today and still face eternal confusion. So they're partly strong, right? But they're also broken. Everything's broken about the society, man. There's no morals, right? Like Amos said, the infrastructure's falling apart. There's not one road you could drive in where the potholes ain't all jammed up. They're trying to fix it. And hey, there's certain construction projects you drive on the highway. It's been there since you was a kid, man. Buildings just left, never finished it, just deserted, abandoned buildings, right? This kingdom is broken. None of the rules make sense. None of the laws make sense. Everything's broken. And as the toes, it's like in verse 43, here's the point. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. See, an iron don't mix with clay, man. You can't have a strong military and a weak government. That's a recipe for disaster. Don't mix, right? Because the government is the one that is set up to lead the military. Iron and clay don't mix. So the Most High said this kingdom is so broken in the elemental structure of it, it's impossible for it to stand. And they're going to mingle themselves with the seed of man. They're going to have that melting pot. They're going to be in different lands, but they should not cleave one to another. Why won't they cleave? Because of their ideologies, because of the government structure. Right? Because of philosophies, religions, right wing, left wing, Christianity, Islam, all right, Mexican, non-Mexican, non-Latino, Latino, non-Hispanic or other. They should not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay, huh? Right? But brothers got it. We'll bring out closing precepts.
I'll start it off. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, and verse number 74. Right, so we're seeing Esau's power structure get taken down. We're seeing the horns starting to hate the horde. We're seeing everything that was prophesied happen before our eyes. Right, don't get caught looking in the opposite direction. Remember Lot's wife. Right, don't look back. Continue to look forward. And occupying prophecy. At least you slip up and get caught up, and then you just out there. Right? There's no better time to be occupied in prophecy than while it's happening before your eyes. Right? But this is 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras chapter 16. And we're going to start at verse number 74. And it reads, Hear, O my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Right? So the days of trouble have already started. Right? Jacob's troubles is right around the corner. Right? We're knocking at the door. Right? It's the right man in the right position to start Jacob's trouble. Right? We're praying that the Most High allows that to happen. Right? It's like those women when they had birth pains, they just ready to get that baby out of them. Right? The labor pains, and contractions could be from 4 hours to 24 hours, right? We're just praying that the Most High allows us these contractions to start so we can get out of here, right? Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord Yahweh. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So yes, you're in this corruptible flesh, you're going to fall short, but you can't let your sins weigh you down, right? You can't be sighing and crying for something you did in 2021, right? It's 2025. Shake the dust off your garment, right? And get back to cleaning off your garment so it can be presented white when that great marriage has come forth, right? So don't let your sins weigh you down, right? There's no time to be sobbing and crying. Ask the Most High for forgiveness, and the next day, if the Lord grants you to see it, do better, right? That's the shalom.
Con. Right, I get the mighty book of Revelation, right, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse number 2. Right, and it reads, "Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God." So the Lord is commanding you to strengthen up things that are lacking, that you need help with, right? That you're not strong in, right? And be fervent. It says, "Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee." Right? So just make sure brothers are keeping a watch. Right? You don't want to overly exercise and overthrow yourself and worry and panic, but you want to have a visual and understanding of what's going on in the world, the precepts. You want to have a balance, your life, right? You want to examine yourself, right? Don't be so confused in work. You're so engulfed in the family, you're so engulfed in one aspect of life that you put down and not examine everything. Right? Take the time, right, to really examine and watch and strengthen what needs to be strengthened. Lest those things slip and they die off. It could be your brotherhood, your fasting. Brother may focus so much on prophecy and stop fasting, stop showing brotherly love, or so much brotherly love and mirth that he doesn't have a stoic, strong mentality and understanding what's coming to pass on the earth. So examine what you need as a man and what's slipping away, dying off, right? And examine that, lest the Lord come like a thief in the night. Brothers got it.
This book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 41. And it reads, can brothers hear me?
Con.
Come.
And it reads, and Yahushua sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And before I continue, Yahushua is always watching. He's watching over the souls of Israel that put in. And he knows what they're capable of put it in. But he's just watching them the same way he just watches us and see what we put in for him and the Lord. In verse 42 it reads, and there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which maketh farthingly. And he called unto him his disciples, and said unto him, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. And so to a degree and to certain levels, to in certain aspects, you have to put in all and everything for the Most High God. Of course, have that proper true balance, but you have to make sure that you're putting everything you can for the Lord into that treasury. Right? You got to put in all your talents. You got to put in, whatever gift he may have given you. And so they don't die off. You got to make sure, you not let your sins weigh you down. And then that prevents you from doing more work. This truth is very, it's like a Swiss Army knife in so many words. You got to make sure you're doing everything you can. You got to make sure you cast in all you can. That I yield.
All praise to the Most High. This Luke 21 and 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. right? So be mindful, man. Be mindful of your life in this knowledge. Be mindful of your life in this truth. The number one thing that's important is Yahweh Bashmi Awashad, right? Again, say it all the time. You can't make your life revolve around this truth, right? You have to have, it's like you can't, this truth has to be the centerpiece of your life, is what I'm trying to say, right? Your life has to revolve around this truth. This truth can't just revolve around your life, man, right? And you kind of fit the truth into your life whenever you feel like it, man. The truth is the centerpiece, and all things gravitate around that, man. Right. So be mindful of, what you got going on in this world, man. Yeah, you have your job. Yeah, you got you got this stuff going on, but there's nothing more important than the kingdom of heaven, man. All this is vanity. Didn't Solomon say that vanity of vanities, all everything's vanity, man? Right? Be mindful of the vanities and don't get caught up in the vanities, man. Use this world, but don't abuse it. Also understand that the fashion of this world passeth away, man. Don't get too caught up in your job, man. Your job ain't gonna be here forever. Hey, don't get too caught up in sports, man. Sports ain't gonna be here forever. You may have a pastime, but don't let that take hold on you, man. That's surfeiting and drunkenness, superfluous things. Live a life of moderation, a quiet life, man. Study to be quiet, watch, pray, fast, study. These things are simple, man. This truth is simple, the simplicity of Yahweh Bashmi Awashad. The minute you start going into surfeiting and folly, the spirit will start leaving you, man, like an oil leak. And by the time you catch it, it's too late, man. Right? But with that, Brother Naquam,
Brother Amos.
Brother Yardan.
Brother, right.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.